Modern manufacturing is designed for synchronization. On a high-speed assembly line, identical units move in lockstep, stamped out with mechanical precision. Large-scale logistics networks, powered by massive warehouse stockpiles and automated shipping, have conditioned consumers to expect immediate order fulfillment. Small-batch model horse studios operate according to a different logic. These independent workspaces prioritize individual craft over total volume. There is no warehouse of pre-made inventory. Every piece is created in real time, poured and finished one at a time, often within the confines of a small workshop or a family farm. Micromanufacturing requires that time remains uncompressed to maintain quality. These cues and delays are structural requirements, the natural result of physics and the hard limits of human focus. Many assume resin casting is a simple sequence: pour the material, wait briefly, and ship the product. The chemical reality is far more demanding. Success begins with manual preparation. Resin components must be measured and mixed by hand to precise ratios. Even slight variations permanently compromise the model's structural durability and surface finish. This life cycle timeline highlights the first major constraint: the working window. Once the components are mixed, a chemical countdown begins. Missing this window ruins the casting. Pouring too quickly or too slowly introduces internal air bubbles and microscopic flaws that weaken the entire structure. The material is highly sensitive to the environment. Daily shifts in local temperature and humidity warp the curing speed, causing production outcomes to fluctuate from one day to the next. The molds themselves have a finite lifespan. Silicone degrades under repeated chemical stress, requiring mandatory resting periods to preserve detail and prevent premature failure. Every single piece hits a hard physical limit, a mandatory 24-hour minimum curing block. The material must rest undisturbed before it can be safely handled or inspected. Rigorous quality control further narrows the output. Castings that fail to meet standards are culled and discarded, ensuring only flawless pieces move to the shipping phase. These chemical properties dictate a mathematical ceiling on daily production. It is a physical reality that cannot be optimized or automated away. Beyond the chemistry of the resin, the studio is defined by the physiological limits of the team. This network graph illustrates the lack of redundancy. While a factory reroutes tasks when a node fails, the artisan studio relies on the same individuals to handle every stage from mixing to packaging. Relying on a single human node ties production to biological conditions. Fatigue, illness, or a lapse in focus directly slows the throughput of the entire system. The studio operates as a single point of failure. A localized power interruption or severe weather ruins an entire batch of uncured resin, stopping the manufacturing process entirely. Scaling this labor is difficult. Training new hands to maintain the necessary consistency and detail takes months of experience, and rapid growth often leads to a drop in quality. Because the system relies on unscalable human skill, production interruptions are a permanent feature of the artisan model. A successful studio eventually faces a collision between fixed output and growing popularity. This chart compares daily capacity against incoming orders. When a piece becomes popular, demand surges suddenly, while the production ceiling remains fixed. The mathematical gap between these two metrics forms an immediate backlog. Since these models are made to order, the queue represents scheduled future labor. Production begins specifically for that customer after the order is placed. In this context, the queue is a measurement of market value. It exists because the craftsmanship involved cannot be accelerated. Controlled batch production is the only way to manage this demand while maintaining the ability to catch and correct mold flaws early. When artisan work achieves high visibility, long wait times are a mathematical certainty. The queue indicates the system is functioning exactly as designed. A common critique suggests that a studio should stop all new sales until the existing backlog is cleared. This graph plots revenue against fixed operational costs. Even if production stops, the expenses required to keep the workshop open remain constant. The studio must continue to pay for resin components, mold maintenance, workspace utilities, and equipment upkeep every day. If sales stop entirely, revenue drops to zero while overhead continues to drain resources. The business would face insolvency before the queue could be fulfilled. Rushing the process to catch up introduces physical defects. Warped resin, weak castings, and surface flaws are the inevitable results of bypassing mandatory curing and cooling times. Simultaneous order intake and steady batch production is the only sustainable model. Pausing all sales is mathematically unviable. As a small studio's reputation grows, the number of customer interactions eventually scales from dozens into the thousands. At this volume, statistical friction is guaranteed. While the vast majority of experiences are positive, a small percentage of negative interactions will occur as a function of scale. These occasional challenges are often driven by external factors and do not change the core production process of the studio. The clearest signs of a healthy artisan business are strong ongoing demand and the continuous delivery of finished work over time. In micromanufacturing, operational friction and queuing are structural realities of operating at scale. When you look at the finished model, you are seeing the result of these uncompromising constraints. The unrushable curing time, the physical fatigue of the artist, and the sensitivity to the weather are the sources of its meaning. Perfect uniformity is impossible in this system. Each model reflects the specific conditions and human effort present at the moment of its creation, ensuring no two are exactly the same. The value of a handcrafted model lies in its nature as a singular, irreplaceable snapshot of time and skill, a result that mass production can never replicate.